I had a hobby too. Mine happened to be guns and ballistics, and I studied guns and ballistics as much as I could, and I wrote an article about high velocity.
So out of all my years working at Weatherby, the last 5 have been some of the most exciting. Working with Adam, with him running the company.
And to think that I get the opportunity of carrying on my grandfather's legacy 75 years later here in Sheridan, Wyoming, I mean, it really is a dream come true.
Oh, I'm home. Thank God I'm home.
On our mark, the Weatherby Podcast.
It's the Weatherby Podcast. We are back for another episode. This one's going to be real exciting. Just for everybody listening, the AC is out in our building, and we are all fairly hot right now.
Upstairs with office
upstairs.
windows that don't open.
We've opened the windows to get video of it on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube, because our podcasts are there, our video. So in this one specifically, we want to talk about ammunition, primarily because it's a major part of our business. It's what Weatherby was founded on, along with rifle building, but primarily ballistic superiority is something we always talk about. Yep. And it's important to us. It's important to what we do, and why we want everyone to know why Weatherby ammunition and why Weatherby rounds and cartridges are the most effective for what people are trying to do in the outdoors, and we want to supply people with the best thing they can have.
You know, a lot of people can make a lot of claims. And we make a lot of claims, right? And, you know, I think one of the things when we look at every brand looks, hey, what's different about it? You know, maybe you're listening to podcasts. It's like, hey, what's different about Weatherby? You know, from a product standpoint, our ammo is probably our biggest differentiator from just a pure kind of specs and numbers and all those things. And, I mean, that is, people can claim accuracy. There's a lot of accurate rifles out there. We certainly are one of them, but there's a lot. And, you know, there's a lot of other elements when people look to a Weatherby, maybe a fit and finish, the craftsmanship, maybe the brand prestige. But like you say, Kevin, that ballistic superiority is something that sets us apart, and it's actually factual. There are numbers behind it. You can claim accuracy, but there are so many variables. But velocity is velocity, and energy is energy. And when my grandpa started the company in the 40s, it was the whole philosophy of the whole reason we're here today isn't because of rifles. It's actually because he started with ammo and said, I want to get a bullet moving faster. And so it is important to our brand. People think of us as rifles and shotguns, but ammunition's important to us as a brand for a lot of reasons.
And I want to hit everybody that's listening with the most recent information coming out of Weatherby, which this will be one of the first places that we share this information. But, you know, one of the things that we've always known is that we do have the best ammo. We do have the best cartridges, but it's always been a little bit pricey.
Just
not only are we the
premium,
not only are we the fastest, but we also are not the cheapest. That's a fact too. Yeah,
so we're excited to announce, and luckily we're kind of with everybody here that's made those decisions. So that's great. But we're effectively doing price reductions on all Weatherby ammunition, which is very exciting for people that are Weatherby fans listening to us right now, that have 300 Weatherbys, that have 257 Weatherbys, that you should be very excited right now, because we're doing just about a 30% reduction.
Yeah, we got two. So we really have two ammo lines, right? We got the Select and we have Select Plus. That's more of our hunting cartridges. The Select Plus, the hunting cartridges, are on average dropping 30% across the board, which is awesome.
Huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about $99 box of ammo. We're now looking at that being around $70.
Yeah, $69.99.
So you look at premium ammo being manufactured by other ammunition companies, and now we're very competitive in that space. We're not like worlds above it. You know, we always talk to people all the time about at consumer shows and places like that about, we understand that it was at a premium, but at the same time, you know, I know a lot of people that they use their rifles to harvest animals. They're not going to the range to bench shoot Weatherby 300s.
That can add up. Yeah.
And I would say all of us want to use a 300 Weatherby to harvest a big elk, and we want to make sure we're responsible in the respect for the animal and how we hunt it. But we're not out there just shooting. We're just not out there shooting steel on Saturday, shooting 100 rounds out of it. So, you know, when you look at your ammunition consumption when it comes to a Weatherby cartridge, this should help dramatically, because we're going to be way more competitive with the cartridges that put down game faster and more effective than anything else.
We're going to start rolling out some new bullets too, so that's going to be kind of fun.
It's
That's
suspenseful.
right. Oh man.
Yeah.
Is that foreshadowing?
Suspenseful.
What was that?
So some new bullets, some new pricing. But you know what's interesting when you were just talking, Kevin, about making a quicker, humane kill. The whole premise for why my grandfather started the company was he actually went on a deer hunt and injured a deer, and he just said, you know what, we got to get bullets moving a little faster, produce a little bit more energy. And it was actually a wounded animal. I believe they might have not been able to track down and find. That actually was the premise. There's usually that thing of a founder of a company, of like, why did it fuel?
Your
it was
origin
him.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we go to bed sometimes after a hunt. If we've wounded an animal, we don't know if we're going to find it in the morning after a hunt. You guys know, you relive it over. I imagine he had one of those nights of laying there going, and that's where he's like,
yourself.
you know what? We got to get more energy out there for these critters. And that is the origin kind of behind how it started. Pretty cool.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he, instead of us just sleeping and being worried about a deer, and then the next morning just being like, wow, that was crazy, he started a whole company.
Yes.
He started where we work today.
We're
So
here
that's
today
awesome.
because of it, which is really kind of
Yeah,
cool,
for sure.
So, and that's why I think, people go, why do you step into a Weatherby, rifle or whatever? And I think hopefully with the more affordable ammo, people go, hey, look, I want something that shoots flatter. There's, my friend Mark Thompson runs a shooting school, and his whole premise of his shooting school is shoot a Weatherby cartridge because it goes flatter and faster, and in a hunting environment carries energy out further, and you need to worry less about holdover, your ballistic, dialing up. You need to worry less about wind, less about density, altitude, everything. You still need to be concerned about it. Understand it. But his whole premise is, get the thing moving faster, and it
He uses the 3378, doesn't he?
Yeah, he uses kind of the big neck downs. 3378, 6.5, 300, and 257, I think, are his few main ones that he uses
Shout
for
out
the
to
shooting
Mark
school.
Thompson.
Yeah.
He runs a
Shout
great
out.
program down there.
He does. Thompson Long Range, Logan, Utah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a big Weatherby guy.
Yeah.
And worked with Loopold on developing some reticles for our rounds. And
He's a custom reticle built by Loopold for
Very
our
cool.
round specifically. It's pretty cool.
And a 3378 is a pretty bad round.
It's moving.
It's a laser.
That's a
moving.
sweet
It's a beast.
round.
Yeah.
If you're looking
It's
at a 30
moving.
caliber, it's the fastest,
Yes.
which carries more energy, which kills better.
Yeah.
So, what was the original prices on a
That's what
3378?
I'm looking at that on a select.
they're pretty
on a
pricey.
Select Plus. We were on a Nosler 180 grain BST. We were 159, and that new MSRP is going to be 109.
109.
That's obviously the 3378's expensive,
It's-
but
yeah,
you
the-
go the
a big
300 and the
Magnum.
257 stuff, you're not going to be able to find that in Select Plus more than the $60-something
Yeah,
range.
67.
Yeah, so like 257 Weatherby. So this one's more than 30%. So 120 grain Nosler partitions going from 99 to 65.
$65 a box for 20 rounds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To kill stuff faster? This is intense.
We'll get into individual cartridges, but we go to shows and we meet different people, and it seems like more often than not, somebody's got a 257 Weatherby story. At two separate occasions, people had nicknamed their rifle because of the 257. I think one was called the off switch, and one was boom flop because it goes boom and the animal goes flop.
That's funny.
And we've had instances within the past year where we've shot stuff with 257s.
Man,
Some of our first
yeah.
experiences because we're
Yeah.
obviously on the new team here in Wyoming. But
What was your grandfather's favorite cartridge?
257.
257.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ed says his is 270, right?
Yeah.
270.
Yeah. I mean, people always do that. What's your favorite?
Yeah, they do that to you all the time.
Yeah, and I'm
You
always
hit
like,
him with the hard. You hit him with the hard response.
what's that?
You say, "I don't have one,"
Why don't you want to know why?
because you have access to all of them.
Yes. So why would I have one?
fair enough.
Yeah,
must
we
not
get to
choose.
cheat here at Weatherby, so we get to customize
No doubt.
our rounds for what
So,
we want to do.
it'd probably be good real quick. Some people don't really know the full lineup of Weatherby cartridges that are ours.
Mm-hmm.
And so just real quick, I figure we just, on the base level, just buzz through them. 224 Weatherby mag. 240 Weatherby mag, which is a hot round. 257 Weatherby mag. 6.5 300 Weatherby mag. 270 Weatherby mag. 7mm Weatherby mag. 300 Weatherby mag, which most people, everyone knows about that one. A 340 Weatherby mag. I would say 375 Weatherby mag. 378 Weatherby mag. 416 Weatherby mag. and a 460 Weatherby mag.
I think you missed 2.
You missed 2.
3378.
Oh, dude, I
And
did.
And
338.
338, 378.
Oh, you know why I missed those? Is because in my 300 Weatherby data collection, both of those are 30 calibers.
Yes,
within the
yes.
300 Weatherby. So
Yeah.
my bad on that.
No worries.
But you're right, I missed 2.
Yeah.
So that was 14?
I believe there's 14
Yep.
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah, 14. And, just to tease it,
There may be a 15th soon.
there may be a 15th
Someday.
someday.
And maybe even a 16th. You never know.
Yeah, you never
we're
know
not
what
done.
we got going on
We're
here in
not done.
Wyoming.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Some of the
Yeah,
You
I've
know-
actually shot 2 animals in the past couple
Easy.
seasons
easy now.
with wildcats. Let's call it that.
Some new wild
Just things we're playing with
Yep.
that aren't part of that 14.
Yeah.
Some of them may not make it to the line. You never know.
Never
Because that's
know.
part of product testing, part of doing it. But we're always playing around. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
I think that seed's planted.
I think it's planted, but it is also. I'm going to plant one more little seed that normally Adam never hunts with anything but a wildcat round.
That's true.
It's true. So
Yeah.
like when you go
I
kill
actually,
stuff, it's always
I actually have a third on top of those 2
Yeah.
that I'm working with engineering on. Because I know those other 2 are working towards production. I'm always,
Yeah,
it is more
always,
fun. It is more fun. Yeah.
It's always cool to be able to go out there and shoot
Yeah.
the first.
I
animal with
actually
a
took
wildcat
like a
round.
rifle this bear season, and its rifle hasn't come out yet. Come out this fall, and we realized afterwards, Kevin, you were photoing it, and we realized later, like all the pictures of me with the bear, I was holding the rifle, and so Kevin went into Photoshop and just made it like all black.
It was
It's
just
like
blacked
this
out.
black blurb in my hand because I'm like, I really want to post this bear online.
Yeah, we didn't
So,
think about it when we were doing
No,
it
we don't.
because
yeah.
we were there to collect content for that rifle. But
Yeah.
then you wanted to post pictures of that bear.
Yes, I did.
But, anyways, I would say we don't have to go into big details on all these. I think the bigger ones are the ones that we should primarily talk about.
Sure. We can cruise through, right? A 224.
Yeah.
224 Weatherby is basically a slightly larger 223.
Yeah, it's pretty close to the 22-250 Weatherby.
Yep.
One of the original things about it was unique is he created that, my grandpa created the Varmint Master action around it, that it's really a short 6-lug, like our 6-lug standard action now, but real short. Really cool little action. It's in the 224. We get requests all the time. It's kind of like left-handies.
very
They come up
common.
to our booth at shows, and everybody wants one. You come out with it, and then like 2 guys buy one, right?
Yep.
Yep. Shout out to lefties. And so
Shout out.
so the 224 is the same thing. Everybody wants one.
Yep.
Now, it's not 223 ammo price. We just don't do that kind of
competitive, yeah.
quantity to do that. But it is its own parent case. Like it's its own case. It's not.
It doesn't share.
No.
It's its own thing. So
Yeah.
we don't currently offer a rifle chambered in 224 in our current line.
Yep.
We do still
Good-
sell the
good
ammo.
little-
We
but
support it.
Don't,
Something
we don't offer a rifle.
Yeah, I actually think it's in that piece of glass right there.
It's
Isn't it?
Should be.
it's something
should be
important to us that we do support. We have a lot of history, 74 years, and we want to support things. So we don't make the rifles now, but we still sell the ammo to support those collectors and different people who have it. It's when we moved production of our Mark Vs from Japan back to the U.S. That had been the mid-'90s that we'd have discontinued it then. So it's really been about 25 years since we've made 224 in the rifle category.
Yeah. And we'll jump around on years because primarily we're going lowest
Yeah, we'll start small.
Yeah.
and
cartridge
big.
to up.
Yeah.
But I think this was around 1963 when 224 Weatherby came out.
Correct. So the majority of his early ones were 40s and 50s. So this wasn't part of that kind of early creation. He said, hey, I want to do more the 223 diameter bullet and work on that. So
So you take a step up from that and you get to the 240 Weatherby.
by the way, my dad has in his safe. He's got a prototype AR in 224.
be pricey.
Paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that
The
223
only way you
thing.
want to do that is if you're Ed Weatherby and you have a warehouse full of them.
Yeah.
For everybody else, it would not be probably
That's
good.
awesome, though.
But it's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Need a
It's not a
60 round
Weatherby
drum mag.
AR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 240 Weatherby's next.
A 240 Weatherby, which is
Potentially one of our most underrated.
underutilized rounds for sure.
This happens all the time. It drives me nuts because we look at what we want to offer in different models, and we just don't sell a ton of rifles in 240, but we all personally love it.
We
Yeah,
love
it's
240.
true.
Yeah.
I've seen more antelope drop in their tracks with 240 Weatherby than any other caliber. I mean, it's a 243 diameter bullet, but it's moving, it's moving hundreds of feet per second faster than the 243 Winchester.
Yeah, so just for reference sake, you'd have a 243 caliber bullet. a 6mm, same thing.
Yeah.
So nowadays you're looking at 6mm Creedmoors. You're looking at 243. So you're looking at a 240 Weatherby with a 100-grain Nosler partition, muzzle velocity at 3,400, 3,406. And then you're looking at a 240 Win with a 95-grain Nosler ballistic tip at 3,025.
Right.
So you're talking...
We're about 400 feet per second than the nearest competitor in that space. So that's what's great about 240, and it fits in our 6-lug Mark V action. So it's a pound lighter. It'd be a great, ultra lightweight sheep gun, backcountry mule deer gun, something you really want to hike around that's lighter. So it's pretty cool. That was a later one too. That was 1968. So that was its own parent case as well. Pretty soon, really the 224 and 240 are the only ones that just have its own case. The rest of them are all necked up and down from something else. So the interesting thing about the 240 is the case capacity is about the same as a 30-06. Shape isn't the same. It's got the belted magnum, Venturi shoulder, things that are unique. But it's about the same, powder capacity that you can put in there as 30-06, obviously pushing...
A 6mm bullet.
Right, instead of, 243 instead of a 308 bullet.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool little cartridge.
Yeah, and you're talking about a 6mm Creedmoor with a 103-grain ELDX is shooting 3,050.
Yeah, which is a cool little round.
Great round.
6mm Creedmoor.
But just to bring up the conversation of that, it is a 6mm.
Sure.
243.
350 feet faster than 6 Creedmoor.
It's doing pretty well. Now it is belted, but
but it does fit in our 6-lug action, so it is unique in our
short,
thing that we can fit it in there, which is pretty cool. It's a neat little case.
Absolutely.
Like you said, maybe one of our best kept secrets in our cartridge line.
So to your point, Adam, so the 240 Weatherby is the only Weatherby Magnum that we offer chambered today in our 6-lug or standard action Mark V receiver.
Yeah,
which is generally a pound lighter right now.
Correct.
Than our 9-lug Magnum action.
Yep.
Give us a price on a 240.
240. So we were sitting at for the Select Plus, we're sitting at $99 a box. This one's also going to be going to $65 a box.
Yep.
That's good stuff.
Yep.
You talked about the Venturi shoulder. I get asked this question a lot. Could you explain more about what the Venturi shoulder does for the round? Or?
Yeah, it was, part of the unique thing when my, grandpa started out creating these rounds. Obviously, the first way you can tell a Weatherby cartridge is by looking at the rounded shoulder as compared to the straight-walled shoulder that happens there. And so, there are multiple things. One, he was taking the cases like 300 H&H, 375 H&H, taking those and fireforming them and really blowing out that wall, really giving it more case capacity. And it also had to do with the flow of powder as well and the burn as it was coming out. And so it was kind of a combination of those things. And really the third thing is my grandpa all the time, he wanted it different. Take a look at his stocks. His stocks were different. Monte Carlo thing, he had the maple spacer and the rosewood thing, and he's like, I don't want it to look like every other gun on the shelf. I don't want my cartridges to look the same either. And so there's really a number of reasons why.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
So if you jump up from there, you get to the famous,
Roy's favorite.
the 257.
Yeah.
Which is the one we were talking about earlier. Everybody talks about this. I honestly think probably most people know the 257.
Most Weatherby fans, that's probably fair.
Historically, 300 has been number one seller, and 257 will be number two. Now, our recent 6.5 will get theirs right up there as well, but 257's been there. And I think it's important to note that 257, as we get there, and 270 and 7mm Weatherby are all off of that same parent case. It's just neck to, the different 3 bullets from there. But
Yep. And you're looking at, incredible speeds with a 25 caliber bullet.
Sure.
So you're in the same categories: 257, 25-06, 257 Roberts. Those will be comparable in the same categories,
almost 500,
but not
feet
necessarily
per second faster.
comparable.
there's really nothing comparable.
There's nothing.
There's several of them that stand out. The 257, 25 cal isn't as popular as the 6.5 or the 30. Or even the 7mm.
Yeah.
It's just kind of in a world of its own. And so those that like it, there's kind of a cult following behind it that really enjoy that 25 cal.
Yeah. So a 257 shooting 110 grain bullet is shooting 3460. 25-06 shooting the exact same bullet, shooting 3100.
Right.
And a 25 Roberts plus P shooting 3000. Exact same bullets.
Right.
So you're looking at hundreds
Right, which translates into shooting flatter, which translates into energy out further.
Absolutely. Inches of variation there when you're talking about your reticle holding high, 4 inches high at
Right.
a certain amount of distance, it's going to be you're talking about an antelope. You may say you misjudge the distance. He's moving, you're moving. You can't range him. 100 yards might make a big difference in finding that animal and not. And that speed and that energy is really what gives you those benefits.
Right.
So that bullet you're talking about, that's the 110 AccuBond.
A favorite of yours.
I like the AccuBond.
You like
Great
the
bullet.
110 AccuBond
I do.
at 257.
Great bullet. So that was old MSRP 99, also going to 65.
$65. Wow. That's killer.
Yeah, that was 257, 1948. Just threw it out there.
Yep.
So I don't know. I always enjoy the family history
One of the
part of
earlies.
it. Well, yeah, I mean, is really the 270, was, but again, that family all formed there in the 40s. So obviously, one of the early on ones was 257. And I think one of the reasons my grandpa liked it the most was obviously if you share that same parent case with two larger bullets, the 270 and the 7mm, he liked that neck down. He liked the speed, and so that's why I like that 257.
So 270 Weatherby would be next.
What was the original parent case?
Well, arguably, the 270 Weatherby was actually the first Weatherby cartridge.
Okay.
Some may argue with me on that. A lot of your true Weatherby collectors and people would say that it actually was 1943 that he started developing it. Weatherby Incorporated was not started until 1945. So obviously, you get the 270, win. It's kind of been what's there.
Yeah.
And then he came out with the 270 Weatherby. There are a couple rifles I've seen with collectors and things that are claiming to be from about that time there. So, yeah, actually one of the earliest. So,
Wow.
So
yeah.
how did he?
Which, by the way, I
how did
do
he
have
actually-
the biography of my grandpa open, so I can double check my facts because I was not alive in the 40s. Neither were you guys.
I've got 1943 as well.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
So
Yep. Yeah, and it said it was introduced at 45 when he started the business.
Yeah.
But really, he started playing around with it ahead of time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So obviously he wildcatted this, but what did he use to start off
He
with?
used the 300 H&H. So the 300 H&H really is where he started to get his family from. The 378 case initially was off of that 375 H&H. So he was that 300 H&H case is where that came from originally. Yeah.
So you've got that. A 270 Weatherby obviously is comparable to it in the same class as a 270 Win. And you could throw a 270 Winchester short mag in there, but still, you're still looking at that same 300, 400 feet per second faster with a 130 grain bullet, around the same, 3,400 feet per second with 130 grain Barnes TTSX, and you're looking at a 3,060 with a 130 and a 270 Win.
I'm trying to picture those non-technical people that enjoy our podcast. I wonder how many numbers we're going to throw out in this podcast.
It's just basic numbers.
We maybe should have thrown a stronger warning.
Yeah, there
up
should have been a
front.
disclaimer at the beginning. If you're not halfway nerdy or geeky or whatever.
Yeah, or
But
understand feet per
people
second.
But
like
hey.
Weatherby for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is this is something that's unique about us.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
We can summarize real quick. Our stuff goes real fast, and the price is going down. Awesome.
Now you can have it all. So then after that,
Oh, no. So you were just talking about the Barnes TTSX. That was 99. That one's going to 70. So 30%.
that's great. Next one would be a 7mm, which shares the same case,
Yep.
based off of 300 H&H.
Correct. So the 257, 270, and 7mm off that same case. So that was later in the 40s as well there. So really all three of those were in the 1940s.
Yeah.
All three of those cartridges. That's there. So I will be honest. In recent years, there's been a lot of activity in the 7mm realm. Obviously, 7mm rum. You got a 28 nozzle. There's been a lot of movement, a lot of popularity. There's 7mm STW, 7mm Rem mag. Obviously, back in the day, it was either the Rem or the Weatherby. That's kind of what you had for decades, up till maybe the last couple decades. That's really changed.
Yeah, you've got a 280 Ackley improved,
yeah,
7mm 08,
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah.
7 Rim mag, 7 Rum, 7 STW,
So
and 28
It's a crowded
Nosler.
space. It's a crowded space.
It
There's a
is.
lot of people
Yeah.
that have jumped in that 7mm, that realm. But really, if you look at it, that, especially for being developed when it was developed, that's what kind of gets me when I start looking at ballistics.
Right.
It's quite funny that Roy developed these in the
Yeah.
specifically this one in the 40s.
Yeah.
And it took a long time for people to get close.
Yeah. It was the leader of the pack for half a century.
Yeah.
For sure.
It really makes that statement, tomorrow's rifles for today.
Yeah,
that's
and
true,
actually
that he
we
always
should dive
used.
into that because I don't know a lot of people know, but Roy used to develop these catalogs.
Yeah, magazines.
Magazines that were called Tomorrow's Rifles Today. You can find them on eBay, and you can find them.
You've
here
came
at
across them a bunch, right,
I
Mike?
have.
So
really cool, unique, old historical pieces. Just that he used to market the cartridges and the rifles back in the day is cool.
Yeah.
So this is a loaded question for Adam, and I know you've answered it in other podcasts before, but
Oh, dear.
we've been talking about
Nervous.
224, 240, 257, 270, and now 7 millimeter. Everything else has been in thousandths of inches, and now we're converting to metric and 7 millimeter.
Yeah.
Was there a rhyme or reason?
Well, there's just traditionally they've always called certain bullets. I mean, sure, you can call maybe a 6.5, or a 264. You got a 284 or 7 millimeter. So there are other different things. A lot of it, man, if you read about, just the titling of things and what you want to call it, you can kind of call it whatever the heck you want to call it. It's crazy.
It's true.
Yeah.
And even if you look at some of these, I mean, we've discussed this before, but sometimes there was like a 2 added to it, like a 340. A 340 is a 338. Commonly
Correct.
known.
And it's the hardest thing
like it
to
just
describe to people that don't understand this. And even right now, people are probably sitting there in their truck, if they don't know and they're new to shooting, they're just like,
What are you
this
talking
is
about?
a lot of numbers. And so it's a really hard thing to kind of describe to people for sure. But yeah, you can do it in millimeters or in inches. But then there's the caliber, which technically, this is where people get mixed up.
Yeah.
Difference between a cartridge and a caliber.
Of bullet.
Because technically, a caliber is a bullet diameter.
Your
Not the
projectile.
Your projectile, the thing that goes out the end of the muzzle, and then you have your case, right? Your brass case. The completed thing is called the cartridge. That would be, say you have a 7 millimeter Weatherby Magnum. It has all the 4 components: the projectile in the end of it, the case, the primer that ignites the powder inside, and you got all 4 of those things. That's your cartridge. So technically, we're talking today about cartridges. Cartridges have numberings, and bullets have numberings, and sometimes they get weird going together. You really only
not
have
friends.
X amount. So you have for instance, a 7 millimeter bullet. So you can buy that as a hand loader and put it in a 280 Ackley improved 7 millimeter Weatherby, 7 millimeter SCW at 28 nozzle. So it's confusing, and then those cartridges have to go in your rifle, and on the side of the barrel it needs to say use only 7 millimeter Weatherby mag. You look on the side of your ammo box, you make sure it fits. So that's the real novice thing if you're not familiar. Some people may be way advanced, more than us, that are listening to this, and there's such a world of kind of knowledge there, in this whole realm.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So that was 7 millimeter.
Yeah,
What's
so
interesting
back
is
up.
too.
Okay.
Let me go. If I can lead in the next one is. So what's interesting there, we talked about 257, 270, and 7 millimeter. So the caliber that's missed there that we didn't have for 70 years, okay, was the 6.5 or the 264, right? Same bullet, okay, you can in inches or millimeters. And so we actually have some original prototypes, and you did a little bit of research on it, Mike. When was that original bull barrel 6.5300 that we have in the showroom?
I want to say it was 56, 57, right around in there, 58. It was in the 50s, late 50s.
Yeah. So there was actually experimenting around with that 264 or 6.5. Never came out with it until 15, 16 years, like 4 years.
2015, 16.
Correct. Till 3 or 4 years ago, we didn't actually come out with it. So it was the missed one. Now what's interesting is you have the parent case on the 257, 270, and 7 millimeter. Then the 300 case is the same diameter, but it's longer. So the 300 Weatherby family case is longer. When we were going to come out with the 6.5 here in 2014 when we started development on it, the natural thing to do, because bullet diameter-wise it fits between the 257 and 270 Weatherby, we thought, we'll just do it on that case. But in true Weatherby fashion, we took the larger case and came out with a 6.5300, and then it's the fastest 6.5 that's out there. So that's a little bit of it's interesting. There's actually, I know somebody that has a custom 6.5 300 down in Texas.
284 300.
And a
264
and
300.
basically, and a 7 millimeter 300, a matching pair that my grandpa custom made for somebody. So technically, back in the 60s, there were a couple made, and then never produced it in production till 3-4 years ago.
So that would, of course, be the 6.5 300, which is the fastest production 6.5 millimeter on the market right now, which we love. I've killed a lot of stuff with it.
Yeah.
I think all of us have shot some stuff with it. So it's a killer round. You shot first animal ever shot with that was a caribou.
No, the Dull Sheep.
Oh, dull sheep.
In the video, I think the caribou gets shot first, but as in many, we have a video called Proving Grounds on our website, but as in many videos, it
doesn't always happen that way.
No, shot the sheep, then shot the caribou, but in the video, for some reason, it was the other way around. So again, I shot my first wild sheep with it in fall of 15.
Yeah, so you've got 6.5 300, you've got 26 Nosler, 6.5 PRC, 6.5 Creedmoor, 264 Win Mag, 6.5 284 Norma, 260 Remington. There's a lot in that space. Right now, we are the fastest 6.5 moving out of a production cartridge. So it's pretty great.
127 Barnes LRX, close to 3,500 feet per second.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely a 140 A-frames traveling at 33.95. So, and the 127 is obviously faster than that.
Yeah, and by volume, 6.5 300 the last few years has been a very, very strong performer for us.
Correct. Obviously, there's a lot of popularity with the 6.5 Creedmoor, which is totally a different intent. To compare the two is not apples to apples.
It's not fair. Yeah.
I mean,
but it is a fast-moving 6.5 millimeter bullet. So it's not fair to compare the cartridge because one's a Magnum and one's a standard.
Yeah. 6.5 Creedmoors are far different uses because we sell a ton of rifles in 6.5 Creedmoor.
We upset a lot of people on our social media if you've not listened to if you've not seen a Cartridge Wars post. We definitely do.
We
a
do
few
it
of
just
those.
to get people upset,
And
right?
people get so upset, and we love it because
We'll
whether
compare
you're upset or
cartridges
whether you're not, it's fine. It's just
Sure.
knowledge base for everybody to have, and we're going to start bringing those into the podcast as well. Talk about different stuff.
That's cool.
So I'm going to mix it up a little. So on the Select Plus rounds on 6.5 300 coming down about the 30%. But in general, the Select line isn't changing a lot. It was already a pretty low-cost ammo. The 6.5 300 Select box was $60 MSRP. It's now going to a $40 MSRP.
Wow.
So that's a buck a round right there. It's awesome.
That's killer.
Well, wait,
So-
a buck around?
No, it'd be $2 a round.
$2 around.
Can't do math.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't want to say anything. I think that's what I
With
was
the
pause.
AC,
There was a pause.
remember
I
the AC's
Hold
out.
on.
It's hot.
Hold on. 20 rounds in a box
Yeah.
Yeah, you said $40.
from 60. That's 20
Oh,
bucks.
savings of $1 a round with the new price.
I thought you meant you pull a trigger, it's $1 a round.
Yeah, okay, I see what you did there. We were both right.
We were both right.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just made that math up just now.
I'm not that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously that's on that 300 Weatherby case. So then we would move straight to the 300 Weatherby, which is an amazing round. Shooting a 180 AccuBond at 3250, which is incredible. Energy of foot-pounds at the muzzles 4223, 4,223 foot-pounds of energy. It's pretty nuts. So in that 330 caliber, so we kind of go back to this whole discussion of cases, bullets. That's a 30 caliber bullet in a 300 Weatherby. And so you have 300 Weatherbys, 3378 Weatherby, which we'll get into in a second, 300 Win, 30-06, 308, 300 Rum, 300 PRC, 30 Nosler, just to name a few. Another crowded space because it's a popular bullet.
30 caliber is kind of the traditional all-American bullet. I mean,
Yeah.
you take the 30-06, arguably killed more animals in North America than anything else. So there's a lot in 30 caliber space. 300 Weatherby, because the popularity of the 300 Win Mag, 300 Weatherby going, a couple hundred feet per second faster. So again, just a lot of popularity over the years. We've had other rifle makers chamber a lot of guns in the 300 Weatherby, so a lot of folks know about that one for sure.
Yeah, the 300 Weatherby shooting a 180, 3,250 feet per second. A 300 Win is at 2,950.
Yeah.
So again, hundreds of feet faster, which translates to that energy downrange,
Sure.
which is really where we care about. The performance of the bullet is shooting an animal at distance and being able to really impact it. So obviously a big one there. And, Adam, year produced on that would be right around.
Yeah, I think
The
I
40s?
think technically say 44.
Yeah, 44. So
Yep.
you've got that, and then you've got the 3378, which is another.
We gonna go into
That's-
that
yeah,
family?
but that's a different
Let's finish our
parent case.
340 and then we'll go to that.
Yeah, 300 shares
Yeah.
the
Same
340.
case, same case. The 300 is necked up to a 338 caliber bullet, but again in Roy Weatherby fashion.
Just add
let's
two.
up everybody and add two numbers. So let's call it the 340, shooting a 338 projectile.
Yes.
340, not a lot in that space as compared to the 30 cal.
Yeah.
You know,
You've got a
certainly-
338 Lapua,
Yeah.
338 Win Mag, 338 Rum. And so we had the 340 for years. Obviously, I think 1962.
Yeah, it was later. You know, let me look at my paper. Is that what you got down
I've
there?
got 1962,
Yeah.
and then obviously we came out with another 338 caliber
Yeah, which we'll
in-
talk about in a moment.
in a different parent case.
Yes. So the 340, you know, for years again, just being up, kind of like the 300 Weatherby was to the 300 Win Mag, the 340 was to the 338 Win Mag.
Yeah. And so then you would step up from those. Can I step into it now?
No, it's okay.
Okay, 378,
Yeah.
a
378
30
parent case.
378, and a 338.
Yeah, so just to give context on that case, it's kind of crazy now because there's really like 5 or 6 actual cartridges off of that case. So it really is kind of interesting. Originally, my grandfather took that 375 H&H case, kind of your classic safari, larger, big game animal, mostly Africa or certainly the northern country up here in North America, you know, your Alaskan, you know, type of thing. And took it and originally had the 375 Weatherby, which is very rare, not a lot of guns out there, you know, type of thing in the 375 Weatherby. He then made this 378 case, which again had more velocity. And so he had, originally in safari cases, had the 378, 416, and 460, okay, for half a century. Until the 90s, we necked those big old safari things down to a 30 cal and a 338 cal. So that's kind of the big picture. So there's really kind of 5. If you had that original 375 Weatherby, 6 kind of off of that same case.
Off of that, you've got the 30 378.
Yes.
So when I say that, I mean 30
Dash.
378.
Okay, so let's on that one for a sec. Fastest 30 cal that's out there. You know, I was working at Weatherby at the time. Remember in college, it blew everything out of the water.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
it's
to be able to do that. Of course, everybody asks, so we should just talk about it. When you talk about the big neck downs like a 3378, everybody first question is because you got all that powder burning through a little hole is, oh, it's gonna burn the barrel out.
That's the most common thing we hear.
The 6.5300, we hear the same thing. Sure. Is it going to burn out faster than a 308? Yeah. Are you going to fire as many rounds through a 3378 over its life than a 308? Not as many.
Nowhere near.
Obviously.
No,
no.
hopefully not.
And
Hopefully
so
you kill a bunch of stuff
we
with it.
see very few, say, 3378s 20 years later. Very few of those back for that. And, you know, barrel cooling. Sure, if you don't let your barrel cool, it'll burn it out more. But people ask us, and we've tested it, and it's everybody just thinks it's going to burn the barrel out.
Yeah.
And if you use it for what it's designed for, then
No chance.
it'll outlast it. My dad used to always say, "You burn it out, I'll give you a free barrel." He's like, you know, quit whining about it and just go shoot some stuff.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. So you got 3378, which is the fastest.
a 30 caliber bullet, 180 grain going. How fast? You got all the numbers up there
3,420 feet per second
for a 180 grain bullet.
for a
Ridiculous.
180 grain bullet.
Yeah.
It's shockingly amazing,
Yeah.
especially if you're talking about shooting long range. Like,
Yep. Fastest production 30 cal
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about a 300 PRC. It's shooting a.
Well, it's a different ball game.
It's a different ball game,
Totally
but it's
different.
definitely.
It's relevant because
It's relevant.
It's a great round too. And
It's a
people
great
talk about
round.
it a lot right now.
But 3378 loaded with the right stuff is
Yeah.
the nasty.
Yeah. It is.
So that's killer. And then
I
obviously,
mean, at 1,000 yards, your energy. I don't know if you do. We have
I
out to
have it.
1,000.
Yeah, I have it.
1,000 yards with that.
1,000. Oh, I
you
don't.
got to 500.
I have 500, which is 2,441 foot-pounds of energy,
At 500 yards.
yeah.
which is
Ridiculous.
the equivalent of a. I mean, I just got all these comparisons, which is the equivalent of 100 yards with a 30-06. So,
Right.
I mean, I hate to throw that one out there. A 308 just isn't even in the same category.
No. No. 3378's in a league of its own. And to jump up to the next one, the 338, 378 is the same to a 338 bullet
Yes.
to what the 3378 was.
If you're looking for the fastest 338, meanest round out there, a 338, 378 is a nasty round.
Yeah.
So once you get past that, we already talked about 378s.
Yeah.
Then
And
you-
guys will put that, you put that 338, 378 in like a high BC bullet like the Hornady ELDX or something. It's got a bazillion foot-pounds energy at 1,000 yards. I don't
crazy.
have that data in front of me, but
You're talking about a
338, 378. Yeah, and a high BC bullet. It's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. So
The 378 Weatherby Magnum, it's got I was impressed with its velocity at the muzzle, with the weight of that round.
Yeah.
It's a 250 grain Nosler partition going 2,950 feet per second.
Yeah,
a beast.
what's the energy at the muzzle?
4,800.
Yeah, that'll do the job. Yeah. Yeah.
Nasty.
That was the first Weatherby caliber ever shot.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
378.
horrible.
I love it.
So then you really just get into your kind of so your 378, your 416, your 460. Now we're kind of in those bigger.
I call them the Safari calibers,
Safari calibers.
which really the 378 was kind of that original. So we're 1953 is when he developed that case that now those 5 or 6 are off of. Arguably, the 378 is the nastiest Weatherby caliber cartridge to shoot. It
As in sharpness of recoil.
Yeah, because you go up to like say the 460, and you're like, oh well, it's 500 grains a bullet, blah blah, but it's more of a thud. The
And
378
that's
is a
heavy
wallop.
gun. Yeah, you're still on the 416 and 460. You got a lot of barrel, a lot of gun weight.
Yeah,
Yeah, 378.
378 without a break. No, I mean, no,
Adam Weatherby said it first.
no.
No.
I mean, I've shot a 460 without a break once to say I did, and then I put
Yeah.
a break on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So then you got a 416.
Sure. So the 416 is unique in the standpoint that it was. Most of these others were real early on, the majority of them. So the 378 and the 460 were back in the 50s. 378 was 1953, and your
1959.
460 was? Right. So they're both in the 50s. Then the 416, kind of right in the middle, actually came in 1989. I actually remember, because I was in junior high, I remember my dad, before that came out, much like I did on my sheep hunt with a new cartridge, he went with Craig Boddington, Weatherby Award winner, as well as Big Game Trophy Award winner, as well as an outdoor writer, real accomplished guy, written a bunch of books, articles. They went, shout out to Craig, just saw him last week, but they went on a Cape Buffalo hunt in Africa in 1989. I remember my dad going over there, and they filmed a video of shooting a Cape Buffalo in 1989 with that 416 when it came out. It was kind of that same thing that we do today when we come out with a new cartridge. So again, it was 40 years after the 378 and the 460 came that 416. So in of recent years, you would have the 416, the 80s, and then those 3378 and 338, 378, then the 65300. So really, since I was born, of those 14, only 4 of them have been introduced since the 70s. So really a lot of innovation early on.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, tremendous. Like I got, kind of like what I said earlier. Sometimes it just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Not because even if I didn't work here, just to think about what Roy was able to
To do.
come up with.
Yeah.
Pretty
People are
wild.
still like just kind of chasing it. So it's pretty interesting.
Well, so to end on the upper end, 460.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the 458,
Shoots a 500 grain with 7,500 foot-pounds of energy
At the muzzle.
at the muzzle.
Yeah, at 1,000 yards, there's 0 probably.
Oh,
but
sure. It drops quick.
But at
It's a round
100
nose.
At 100, it's basically 6,000 foot-pounds
Yeah,
at
it's
100
unbelievable.
yards.
It's unbelievable.
it's not like we sell a lot of those. Let's just say
Yeah,
that.
so you've got a 450 Nitro Express, a 458 lot, a 458 Win Mag, and then
Yeah.
a 460 Weatherby, which all shoot the same, a 458 caliber bullet.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's large, but it's pretty crazy when you look at it and you see that it almost just goes straight up. There's almost no shoulder.
Yeah, it's like it's almost.
Yeah, it's almost straight. Well, it's pretty crazy. People have asked us before, just since we're ending at the 460, why has Weatherby never came out with the 50 cal? Everybody probably because we'd sell 4.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, interestingly enough, you can't do that in California. Whoops.
Sorry about that.
And we were there for a really long time, and because 50 cals are way more dangerous than a 458.
Yes, no doubt.
As we all know, way more
Very
dangerous.
dangerous.
It's 40 more dangerous.
It is 40 times as dangerous.
Well, I'm glad we all got to sit down and talk about the history that is the ballistics of Weatherby, and it's exciting times. Obviously, you guys have been following our story here in Wyoming, and it's great to sit down and talk to Adam and Luke and Glass and just talk about our rounds and what we have going on. Check out our new prices.
Yeah. So when this episode goes live, we're gonna have a brand new website. We're gonna have this new ammo pricing, which we just discussed, and short behind that, some more cool stuff.
Just stuff,
We
some
may,
more cool stuff.
maybe someday there could be a Weatherby podcast with the 15th Weatherby cartridge. Maybe.
Maybe so.
Maybe. I don't know if it'll last that long.
I don't know. Oh, that was an anti-teaser.
Yeah.
That was perfect. Yeah.
No, I don't know. Just keeping track, social media, weatherby.com. Definitely check out weatherby.com when this thing hits, because we're going to have new prices available everywhere as well. But you can definitely buy it off our website. And thanks for listening to this episode of On Our Mark.